Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
You all right?
Yeah, standard drill. Just standard drill. I was just checking something.
We're on. So it's never the outside bride if there isn't a bit of tech issue. What are you doing? Turn it on.
No,
quiet.
off. Done. There's always a tech. We try our hardest. This is on our bio on our website under About Us. I have a background in technology. I have spent years working in technology, and I get it wrong most weeks. It's fair to say. I try my hardest not to get it wrong because I love it so much. But somehow, I seem to get it a little bit wrong most weeks.
And let's face it, YouTube, we love you. We do love YouTube, don't we? Stop changing the goalposts.
So for those who don't know, the reason we've changed this is, oh my goodness.
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell.
Podcasters don't really care about this.
Yeah, hi podcasters.
Hi.
In a nutshell, YouTubers, when we go live, YouTube changed the rules this week. So between last week and this week, you now have to have a minimum of 1,000 subscribers to be able to go live
on
from
your mobile
device. I'm sure it's just to stop like youth of today doing like live bad things or
well, that only spurs us on to start growing our following a little bit more.
I know. Thank you to whoever subscribed to our channel today.
So what that does mean is if you're watching this today and you like what you see, we would love it if you could hit this little button below here with a nice big subscribe button there and hit subscribe and subscribe to the channel.
Just realise when you watch it live, that little circle is not there. It's only there on playback. Anyway, please give us a thumbs up. Please do comment in the comment below. Let us know what you're planning. Let us know how your wedding's going. Let us know as a supplier, what you're doing and how your season's looking to be. This is mainly answering brides and grooms and couples questions, but we'll happily chat away to any suppliers who come on and answer any questions. We can help with you as well. In our position as outdoor wedding specialists. So yes, we spent a long time, didn't we, trying to decide whether we were experts or specialists, and we've gone with specialists. I like specialists. I don't
want to be as no. I think our ego's that big that we're experts in everything. We're not experts in everything. We have a lot of knowledge about a lot of things, but we specialise. And if we don't ever know the answer, we know people who will answer it for you.
That's it. So you video watchers, YouTubers, please do subscribe to the channel, thumbs up, comments. Podcasting, we grew 100% last week on podcast, which is fantastic. So thank you, podcasters, for listening. We are seeing some very nice, consistently good listening figures coming out of podcast. Well,
can I just say as well, I'm looking at us on this screen right now, looking back at us for the first time in about a year. I'm the same brown.
Yes.
I had to have a spray tan
because normally we can't see ourselves here.
I had to have a spray tan yesterday because we are very excited. So into our next bit.
Well, hold on, this is like fourth on the list.
Well, I'm jumping into it. I'm mixing it up because we can. We're going to a wedding tomorrow, aren't we?
We are going to.
We're very excited because we are going as guests. We're also going as help as well and getting things done.
Well, in our position as outdoor wedding specialists,
it's not actually even an outdoor wedding.
No,
it's a very indoor wedding.
It's 100% indoor, but that doesn't mean they don't tap into what we know.
Our expertise.
Not what we know. What they can borrow from us.
Regardless,
our pleasure, Claire.
Claire, if you're watching, congratulations.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
However, I am wearing a peach dress, and peach dresses and my skin tone don't go. So a spray tan was definitely in order, and for the first time ever, I look almost on par with you.
Well, I don't. The thing. This is what we're discussing. My suntan. I'm not naturally brown. I'm actually naturally quite pasty and white. Well, I think over the years, as I've hit 40, and I'm a bit hairier than I used to be. Got a good head of hair, good heritage in my family for hair, no balding. But I think that and 7 years of being outside just for weddings, not involving everything we've done before that, I've just kind of kept a little bit of a tin. And if it makes me a bit tall, dark, and handsome, I haven't got a problem with that.
Yeah, carry on with that.
Yeah.
Right, what else have we done this week? So
we've actually had. That's why we made a list today, because we've had some very.
It's been a busy old week for the Outside Bride team, hasn't it?
Yeah. So we weren't live last week, and that didn't quite go to plan. So last week was pre-recorded because Emily was at a wedding networking night, and I was at home with the kids doing kid type stuff, and it just didn't happen. And actually, it all went wrong. But that's a very different story.
But we don't like to not give our sessions, so we thought we'd pre-record one and put it out there for you guys anyway.
that's it. Then, so if we ignore all the blogs and stuff for the moment, we'll come back to them. Where were you Sunday?
On Sunday, I had the absolute pleasure of going along to a place called The Grange in Northington, which is just near Alresford in Hampshire, to go to an influencers brunch at the Bridal Bazaar showcase as well whilst I was there. And it was a really, 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 really good wedding event. It's like a wedding fair like no other I've ever been to. So The Grange at Northington, I put my beard down because I want to talk about it so much.
Well, it was brilliant. Well, you came back quite excited, and we've known the team who have organised it for a few years now. So yeah,
worked hard. So they are. I couldn't even just give them the title of stylists. They are.
Why don't we give them indoor wedding specialists?
They are everything specialists.
They are, but you can't tell them they're outdoor wedding because that's ours.
They are creatives. They are planners. They are experts in their field. They help other businesses sort of showcase their stuff. They work with venues. They do everything. And
what was the new thing they had you talked about?
I haven't got to that bit yet.
I was going to say, it's just a slight twist on something.
I'll get there in a second. Yeah. But the Grange at Northington is well, it's a manor house, but it's a manor house like you would never, ever believe. The driveway in was about 1.5 miles, 2 miles to drive in along this really lovely winding road with all the estate. So there were thousands and thousands of acres. And then you got to the Grange itself. And I've never been there before. I've heard good things, but I've never been there. And pretty much it was down for demolition. It had all the big stone pillars outside. It was a gorgeous lake to the one side, down for demolition. And at last minute, it was saved from wreck and ruin and now stands there as this beast of a house. But the most stunning thing, every time you looked up into the sky, looked up into the ceilings, it was falling apart. You could see exposed beams. You could see holes in the roof. The plaster was falling off the walls. It was an absolute wreck. But in such a way that it was almost beautiful, and I showed you a photo of it. It was beautiful. It was really raw. And what Peggy Did Next?
What Peggy did. That's like the planning sessions and
what they put together was a whole sensory experience rather than just calling it a wedding fair. So you walked into this dramatic entranceway with massive light features in the middle, and you've got the nets holding basically stretched across the ceilings to stop anything from falling down. And they had a bridal prep room. So in this front room, you had the dresses, and you had bulb mirrors, and then people having makeup trials, and they were having hair trials, and there was catwalks, and there was just champagne bars and stuff. And then every single aspect of every single room in that downstairs was used to the max to showcase what you could do with the space, what the ceremony could look like. It had the best of the best wedding supplies in the southeast there. There were big furniture installations. There were big florals everywhere. My personal favourite was the staircase. Now the staircase, again, falling apart, and it's one of those massive wide ones that comes back on itself. And they put faux trees and foliage and gold apples and roses everywhere. And what they did really, really well is they used amber lighting all the way up the stairs and on the ceiling and projected it, and this glow of a warm staircase. I showed you the picture. It was like some sort of fairy tale.
I can't remember if you put it on Instagram, but you have you did put you definitely put the staircase out there.
And the next room was a ceremony room. The next room was all about your reception, so tables laid out, loads of tables adorned with. There was a beautiful one that what Peggy Did Next did as well, which was made. Each table setting was with tambourines and peach and coral roses and ribbons and so much foliage. It was beautiful. And then the next room was all like the fun party stuff. So there were tattoo stations, there were cocktail bars, there were love letters, there were DJs, and there were wedding videos. There's everything you could possibly think of. And there's so many different things. And what I was going to say, which Alan sort of piped in before, is that
I didn't say what it is though. I didn't give it away.
Sweet feast. Now I'm actually going to blog about it because I don't think it's bigger than me discussing it on a YouTube video that you may or may not watch later. But imagine the sweet cart phenomenon that hit a few years ago. Everywhere had a sweet cart. It was nothing like a sweet cart. It was sweetie grazing tables, and it
Yeah, fair play to them. I will link to
we'll definitely
them.
put the
I'll
link
link to
in.
them in the
So it was must have been about 6 foot wide, and it was made of perspex, clear perspex, massive rounds, and they're all different heights. And then pretty much, depending on what you're theming, so this one was a pink one. It had, you know, like you get balloon archways. It was made of like a candy floss archway coming down onto the table, and then literally cascaded into like 3 different tiers full of iced donuts and pink shrimps and sweetie lips and cupcakes and every kind of sugary treat you could possibly donuts.
Sounds amazing.
Candy, honestly, everything.
Why didn't I come on Sunday?
I don't know. We managed to get a little sweetie bag to take home, but it was literally cascading. Now
you've
seen grazing tables, and you've seen all the savouries, and you've seen the olives, and you've seen the cured meats and stuff. It looked just as impactful, but just with a lot of sugar, and it was awesome. Awesome. It's like the type of thing that you don't want the kids to ever touch, even though everything they want to eat will be on that space.
Well, I know what our kids are like. Our kids are, I blame it on the parents, but our kids are fully like bread, sweets. They like all the bad stuff. Actually, you can get good stuff into them. So they would have been like an octopus at a buffet with this sweetie grazing table.
It was spectacular. And what
imagine having your wedding, right, and you've got this beautiful sweetie grazing table, and basically there's 20 under 10-year-olds at the wedding who just go mental on this.
I mean, I would like to see it on an outdoor wedding setup. So we've talked about cakes a lot on the outside bride and hot weather. So I would think probably not the best situation to have it outside, unexposed, completely exposed to the elements.
Not with the amount of wasps and flies we've had the past couple of summers.
But if you're having a covered area, if you're having a temporary structure, if you're having a teepee, if you've got a space where it could fit, I can definitely see it fitting. And like I said, they can do different styles and themes to fit your colours and stuff as well. So definitely worth checking out. I will definitely link to it.
Yes, and I'll put a link to what Peggy Did Next.
All excited about sweeties then.
Well, no, you delivered that very passionately. It was nice to hear.
Well done, what Peggy Did Next.
Yeah, well done.
I
can't even talk what Peggy Did Next. So yeah, link to them in description to the video below. So come in and have a look at that, and once Emily's blogged about it, I'll link to that as well. And as always, links to everything else we talk about that we can link to will be in the video description beneath. Then moving on from Sunday, we got Monday.
Oh my word!
And now
it's only Wednesday as well.
Don't. It's Easter holidays. We were at home with the kids, which we absolutely love to bits. Right? We one of the reasons we do what we do is so we can spend more time with the kids.
And we had a lovely day. We had a barbecue with them today.
We did. We had some. They had a family play date, so a school friend family came over, but it was all very lovely. But boy, it seems to be going slow. You know what, I'll tell you why it's going slow. I'll get to where we were on Monday in a second, because they had an inset day on Friday. So we went away Friday, Saturday for work/family reasons with all of us, but when we got back Saturday night, it felt like Sunday night. So when we were at Wednesday, it's like, how can it be Wednesday? It's the longest week known to man, but actually it feels like 4 days to us, but it's only 3 days. Nice story, Grandma. Yeah. Anyway, on Monday, we were invited back for the 3rd time now onto BBC Radio Solent.
Because on my head, that's a better size now. Come back a little bit, otherwise you have a massive...
I quite like it. Coming close.
Okay,
Don't
I'm not
move your
chair.
Just lean in.
My bum, but I didn't want to squeak the chair.
Just lean in like that. Podcasters, sorry about this. So on Monday, we were invited back to BBC Radio Solent for the 3rd time now, and in our guise as outdoor wedding specialists for their Ask an Expert, which I found out tonight. I think it's called Ask the Expert, not called Ask an Expert. Semantics are key here. Anyway, so they had new presenters in now. Then at the show they have Ask an Expert on, it's now hosted by Alan and Lou. But Alan was on an unplugged holiday, so it was just us with Lou Hannan. So we had a fab time as always. We had some great questions. I will link to the audio. We have a YouTube and podcast on that. It's all audio. So if you watch on YouTube, you just see a picture of us moving for the duration of the audio, like this. Podcast, I moved my head, and we had some quite really good questions. Actually,
it was a really. You always worry, especially when it's live.
Yeah, we have no idea. I mean, I don't want to we literally walked in the building at 11:45.
Sat down at 10 to.
We sat down at 10 to 12. 5 to 12, we were on air. 12:30, we were out the door. So we literally, Lou, the presenter, was the other side of the desk going, yeah, I've got a few questions that have been sent in. This. You ready? Let's go live. Boom. So there's no prep. Like literally, it's like when people do come on live.
So we talk about what we talked about, just in case you know. So we had a little bit of discussion.
You're not leaning in.
So, no, I've got really bad bags when I do that.
Look, you just told me off being off track, so stay on track.
So we talked about the national average budget for weddings, and obviously the amount nationally for spending on a wedding in the UK is £30,000.
Yes, so we need to reiterate, that is the national average given to us by the Office of National Statistics.
So we were talking about what things cost and you know, how to get around things and making sure you've got everything you need for your wedding. And we had a very a comment on the phone line, which was basically going, I don't agree with you guys. We have got my son's getting married. They're having everything they truly wanted for £5,000. Brilliant. Yeah. And we've said this from the start. We know you can do a wedding for £5,000. You could probably do a wedding for 500 if you really, really wanted to.
Yes.
But there is that full element of that full scale of what you want and how you want to do it.
And look, let's be brutally honest. If some people in this world we live in have more money than others, so on their perspective, spending a percentage is exactly that. It's a percentage, isn't it? So if you have £10,000 to your name, you have £100,000 to your name, you have £1 million. If you spend 10% of what you have on your wedding, it's
But also there are those who don't have that, but they spend 2, 3, 4 years saving for that because they have a very specific goal in mind for what they want to achieve with their wedding day. And then you've got the other side of it who don't have any money at all, but they have the plastic and they just put it on it and worry about it later, which not condoning that either. No. If that's what you want to do, then absolutely you have the day of your life.
Well, as I say, that's the key. What's important is you do what you want to do with the money you want to spend. That's what's important.
The thing with outdoor weddings and budgets and stuff is that, yes, you can do it on the cheaper side of the budget, but you do have to factor in that when you, and I say this time and time again, you are setting up a wedding from the ground upwards, especially if you're going to a blank canvas venue or a field or a back garden. If you're in the UK watching this, you would probably be very, very, very wise to get some sort of plan B, or if you're not having anything at all, or structure or a gazebo or something. If you're having a truly outdoor wedding, having that backup, which, you know, if you have to have a backup place, it's going to cost you some money to think about your contingency. So it's never going to be what?
Well, nothing. I thought
oh, sorry, I just get a bit passionate.
Well, I know you got passionate. It just made me smile.
So yeah, think about it, and we said this last week as well on the non-live live. Things do cost certain prices, and if you're trying to get people down on their price, like we used the example of a DJ last week, someone was trying to get a DJ for £120, you may well find that person for £120, but it's that same school for you get what you pay for sometimes. There's always going to be the odd deal, the odd bargain, XYZ. You know, we've all come across it, like the amazing person in their first year who's doing a first year offer, right? They exist, they're out there, but generally speaking, you do get what you pay for. Yeah. So just make sure that your vision and what you've seen on Pinterest matches up with the amount of money you have, and make sure they can work together in harmony.
So other things we talked about. Are we going to go off on a tangent on everyone?
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're on 18 minutes.
We had a fab question, which I'm right up my street, about toilets and generators.
Yeah, it was right at lunchtime, people eating their sarnies.
Yeah, well, I didn't ask the question, did I? Someone was planning their own outdoor wedding in their back garden and just had a general question about toilets and generators. So we talked about that, and you know, like there's still that image in outdoor weddings, isn't there, of the Glastonbury drop pit toilets? But actually, we've talked a few times over the years or so of the posh themed posh loos.
The one I saw at the weekend outside the venue, because I didn't have toilets in the actual house itself, was a shepherd's hut. It was beautiful, and I say toilets beautiful. It was beautiful to look at the outside. It was all clad on the outside, really pretty.
They're nice, and generators. You know, as we always suggest, ask your structure company to sort it. It may cost a couple more pounds, but it will be, trust us, the amount of peace of mind that will come from any problems being theirs rather than yours is worth it. Now, there's not a whole host of problems that can go wrong, but just make sure you've got the right connector to start with, things like that.
Okay, going back to the toilets very quickly as well, and the question was in regards to the lady's back garden, having a reception in her back garden. It's thinking about really,
Just keep going.
Really, Alan?
Podcasters didn't see me smirk.
No, he smirked. Back gardens, great, fantastic. If you've got a nice large garden, it's amazing to have it. If you can get that many people into your back garden, all well and good. Think about where your toilets are going to go, and if they are going into the back garden, is there access to get that trailer or loo blocks or whatever you're having into it? And I would always say as well, if you're having any amount of guests coming, 50 plus probably, you don't always want them traipsing into your house to go in. So I would probably be advisable to get temporary loos, maybe on the driveway, so they don't have to go into the patch.
Then we had a really cool question we felt were a couple who were looking to renew their vows in an outdoor ceremony, and actually I had to check with Emily this. There's no legalities about renewing vows. It's just a beautiful ceremony, whether you choose to have a celebrant lead your ceremony or whether you want a family friend or a key other person to do it is absolutely fine. And then so therefore where you do it's really kind of up to you, as long as you've got permission to be there. I think
that was the big one. The big one was you can do this anywhere you like. Yes, you technically can. You can go on a beach. You're going to be able to do it in a park, but you'll always have to have permission from that landowner. Now, public spaces are a little bit tricky like that because parks are still usually council owned, or the beach is council owned. So, and we've had this because we live quite close to the New Forest, and my background previous to events was working for the Forestry Commission, and people think they can go anywhere, but actually no, you still have to ask permission, even to take photos in some places, because it's conflict of interest. It's making sure that the public know about it. It's making sure that there isn't a pony drive going through when you're having your event. So do check wherever it is you want to have your event and your ceremony or whatever. Just check with who owns that land. If it's public space, it's still managed by somebody. Check who manages that and just let them know that you want to do this, so they can at least record what's going to be happening on the ground. Yes.
And then the fourth question we had asked.
It's not asked an expert if we don't mention that.
Well, no, I know. I think we won't gloss over it, but we just say we got asked about wet weather and what to do, and which. Excuse me, it's a standard kind of question on here. We have no issues talking about it.
Right.
No, I just got a little bit of gasp whilst I was mid-sentence. So if anyone ever wants to know about wet weather plans, etc., please just ask away and we can answer that. But it was really good to know that the questions we talk about and the answers we give and the things we talk about in the planning sessions, where we share everything we know for anyone planning their wedding, are the things that people are asking about. So that's always absolutely reassuring. What was I going to say? I can't remember. If you are watching live, slight interjection here, please feel free to give us a thumbs up or subscribe to the channel, or drop a comment. Let us know who you are when whilst you're watching, etc. While you're watching.
So that's it. So we're quite excited about tomorrow's wedding.
It's actually a two-part wedding, isn't it?
Two-part wedding, and which is what we find a lot in the outdoor wedding industry. As I said, this is not actually
an indoor wedding, but
we are having the ceremonies tomorrow. It's a registry office tomorrow, and we're going for a little bit of lunch afterwards, and then the reception is actually next Saturday. So it's a week and a bit away.
Yes, it's Saturday,
because when you want something very specific,
we can wake up, and we can nurse hangovers with chocolate on the Sunday.
Oh, it's Easter
Even
Sunday.
though I'm not going to have a hangover because I'm driving.
No, I can drive.
No, I don't want driving.
Okay, good.
I struggle with hangovers nowadays.
But the
hands up if you struggle with hangovers.
Just once again proving, that if you've got a vision and you have something very specific you want, it doesn't matter. You cannot do it wrong. And the couple getting married tomorrow had a vision of where they wanted to have their reception. They couldn't necessarily get the registry office at the same time, so they've split it up and they're having a double whammy celebration, and we cannot wait.
No, I'm quite excited. Looking forward to it. Well, we love weddings, so we're always.
I hope you like weddings. I was pretty much in the wrong business.
No, I do. So anyway, that is it. So what was I going to say? Final videos. Thank you, YouTubers. Thank you for watching. Please do thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, leave us a little comment. Links to everything we've talked about in the description beneath. Podcasters, thank you for lending us your ears while you've been listening to this. We would love to have a review and a rating on iTunes, or a little heart on SoundCloud. That would be fab. Thank you ever so much. Have a great week, and we will see you next week. Bye.